Hello and welcome back to the Dragon Den. I'm KingofDragons 5000 and today we have another action figure review. Today I'll be taking a look at the Hiya Toys Godzilla 2014, the MUTO. And before we have a look at the figure, let's take a moment to thank today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Gundamit.com. Action figures, model kits, and other collectibles, check out Gundamit.com with a link in the description. Getting the Mudo out of the packaging, we're greeted with a very impressive figure. As expected, Hiya Toys has delivered a great sculpt here, and the paint and detail work perfectly for the Mudo. Unfortunately, the female Mudo here does not come with any accessories. Taking a look at the female Mudo, Hiya Toys has done a great job with the sculpt here. Her sculpted hide is quite impressive, and going along with that impressive sculpt is this very impressive paint job. Having a look at her head sculpt, the Mudo has a very accurate head sculpt to the movie. Her flat elongated head looks impressive, and it's done well with the painted red eyes. I love the fact that you can see some different gradients in her hide, giving that darker color, and we do have some lighter colors as well. And on the inside of her mouth, she does have this very dark pink tongue, and the webbing in her mouth is also done really nicely. Being a very unconventional creature, let's have a look at her massive arms. Her front forelimbs are done quite impressively, and the sculpt work on them is beautiful. It continues that very impressive gradient that we see on her head, with those darker grays looking really nice in contrast with the lighter grays. I especially love the subtle details that are brought out with that lighter brown paint. Her front forelimbs come all the way down to these talons, which grace the end of her appendages. Her second set of appendages jut out from the middle of her torso, and these are done very well. The sculpt work here is very impressive, and I love this sharp point at the top of her appendage. It continues that very impressive sculpt work on her hide, with that dark gray paint looking very good here. And the subtle details of that lighter gray and lighter brown do a really good job bringing out all those impressive folds and wrinkles. And just like with her front forelimbs, these limbs also have a hook-like talon at the end of each limb. Her torso is done wonderfully, with that gray paint bringing out all these impressive sculpted details. It is kind of hard to see all the details with her arms getting in the way, but the sculpt work on the female Mudo is done perfectly. She even has these smaller limbs which jut out from her abdomen, which look good, and just like in the movie, have these talons at the end of each forelimb. A great detail is that she does have the egg sac here. Unfortunately, it's just done in that gray paint. We don't have any orange on her. And finally, taking a look at her legs, it's quite impressive with the sculpt and paint here, as the darker paint is only on the front of the legs and it gradiates to a lighter gray on her back. The sculpt work is still quite impressive on her hide, and you can see all those impressive details, and something to note is that there is some orange paint on mine. Her entire leg culminates down to this hoof, which is kind of strange because I didn't expect the Mudo to actually have a hoof. Overall, some great detailing here on the Mudo, and the paint job just does a great job bringing out all those impressive sculpted detail. It's quite impressive what Hiya Toys was able to replicate here on the Mudo, as it mirrors what we saw on screen perfectly. With her paint and details out of the way, let's compare the female Muto to our usual suspects. As you would expect, the female Muto is not in scale with any of your 6-inch scale figures. However, she still has some impressive size to her. It is interesting to note that she is quite smaller than your previous Hiya Godzilla figures, but she does fit in nicely with the NECA Godzilla. So overall, I'm a little bit disappointed that she is quite smaller than previous Hiya figures, but it is really nice that she fits in with that NECA Godzilla. With her comparisons out of the way, let's have a look at her unique articulation. The Mudo does have a hinge in her jaw. Her head is also on a hinge which moves up and down. Her front forelimbs do go out to the side slightly and would do a full 360. Her front forelimb is broken into 3 segments, where we do have a ball hinge on each segment. And then her talon does have a hinge as well as a swivel. Her second limbs have a hinge at the part where they attach to her torso, and those do swivel. The arms do hinge in and out as well as swivel, and they do have a hinge and swivel in the middle of the limb. Her abdomen forelimbs are on ball joints, and they do have ball joints on the talons. The female Mudo does have a ball joint in her midsection. Her legs do kick forward, go back, out to the side slightly. The female Mudo does have a hinge and swivel at her knee and a hinge and swivel at the second bend. Finally, she does have a hinge and swivel at her hoof. Overall, some great articulation here on the female Mudo, and given what it is, it has a quite interesting articulation setup. Everything does work nicely on the female Mudo, however there are some stiff parts that I did have to take a hairdryer to, so do be careful when articulating your female Mudo. With everything said and done about the female Mudo, let's get her posed for my final thoughts. It's quite impressive seeing Hiya Toys go back and make action figures from the 2014 Godzilla movie. And I am really happy that they went back to make the female Mudo, as she was a key part in that movie. What we have here is a very interesting figure that has a very interesting articulation setup, but the design of the Mudo looks really good. I'm honestly quite impressed by what Hiya Toys was able to bring to the table, as they made the female Mudo move really well. The paint and detail is what you expect out of Hiya, being superb and looks perfect. My only criticism is the tight joints here on the female Mudo, as I did have to take a hairdryer to several of these joints. Once I got the joint moving, it started moving no problem, but I still feel like there are some joints that might be a little bit too tight. And it would have been nice to see this female Mudo come with some type of accessory, like even the nuclear sub would have been a really nice touch. Making the female Mudo a little bit bigger would have also been nice, however I have heard that the Hiya Toys 2014 Godzilla will be in scale to the female Mudo. So overall, I have no major complaints here with the female Mudo, as this is the first time a major company has made a female Mudo action figure. If you are looking for your female Mudo, I did pick up mine from Gundamit.com, where she is available for about $55. You can pick her up from Gundamit.com using code word DRAGON to earn extra points on all your purchases. And before we wrap up this video, let's take a moment to thank Gundamit.com for supplying this figure to me. If you haven't already done so, check out Gundamit.com for first party and third party action figure model kits, statues, and other collectibles. Thank you for watching another video review here on the Dragon Den, but before you go, don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and check out the rest of my Hiya Toys collection. If you're in a position to help out the Dragon Den, check out my Patreon account, where I have some exclusive content and early access videos. Check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, videos, recent pickups, latest prints, and as always, ring that bell so you never miss another video. And until next time, my loyal Dragonites coming from the Dragon Den, I'm KingofDragons 5000, reminding you to redesign, rebuild, and reclaim. I'll see you next time.